official people. I know you guys already read the title of the story. Now let's get into it.
Story time on how I ended my ass up in federal prison. So I was pretty much a mule, right? I would be told to go send this money to this person, pick this money up from that person, drop this package off to this person, and I would do it. And it wasn't so much as like money, like I was doing it a lot for money. It was mainly because I was doing it for a person who I felt like with me doing this, it just made our relationship better and it made that person love me more. It started off with me allowing packages to be mailed to my house, drug containing packages. And at the time, it didn't seem like I was really doing anything wrong because I would be getting the packages, the people who packages it was, they would come pick their packages up and so forth. But looking back now, that was just dumb. Like, why was I allowing illegal drugs to be sent to my house? But I was young. I was younger. This was back in December of 2020. So around that time, I was like 26, 27. And I just was, like I said, I was just dumb and young. You know, with age comes wisdom. So let's talk about the day that I got indicted. The day that the police came and raided my apartment. Luckily, DJ was gone. My son was gone with his auntie at the time. So I'm at the house with my boyfriend at the time, who we had been arguing because he always came in the house at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and he pulled that shit that day. He came in like 3, 4 in the morning, and so he's in the room sleep, and it's like 7 in the morning, and I'm in the living room, and I'm doing, at this time, was the unemployment, PPP, you know, y'all know. All of that was going on. So I'm sitting on the computer and I'm doing it. While I'm on my computer, I check my emails and then I get an email saying that my iPhone 12 was out for delivery. So back at this time, I had ordered an iPhone 12 and they were in such high demand that they did not have none in stock, and I had to wait on them to get some more in stock, and it took all of like 2 months for me to get my phone that I already paid for. So with this saying that it's out for delivery, I'm excited. Like, you know, it's little shit, but y'all know how we are when we get something new, we're excited. So I'm like, okay, my phone is out for delivery. So I'm just sitting in the living room. My boyfriend comes out of the bedroom and he's telling me he's about to go to his cousin's funeral. And he asked me, did I want to come? I already had an attitude with him. On top of me waiting on my iPhone to come, I'm just like, nah, I don't want to go. Go ahead. So he leaves. So I'm still in my living room. So I hear this beeping noise outside of my door sounding like UPS or something. So I look outside the window and I don't see my normal mailman truck. He usually has his truck parked right in the front and I don't see his truck. So now I'm really excited because I'm thinking like, okay, it's not the mail. It's not my mail. So it has to be UPS or FedEx dropping off my cell phone. So I open my front door and it's a man and he's dressed in like a mailman uniform, the USPS uniform. And I'm like, okay, I thought it was weird at first, but I'm just like, maybe my mailman is just off for the day. He did not have my cell phone package, but I did spot the package that the drugs usually are contained in. So I grabbed the package. I tell the man, I'm like, I think this is mine. I take it. I go back inside of my apartment and I FaceTime the person whose package it was. So I FaceTime, I'm like, yeah, your package is here. The person tells me like, okay, go ahead, open it up, call me back, let me know what's in it. So I did that. I hung up, I opened up the package, and as soon as I opened up this package, I start hearing boom, 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 boom. They banging on the door. It's the police, it's the police. And I just was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, my heart was racing. Like, is this a movie? It was like it was an out of body experience. Like, I really couldn't believe that these police was banging at my door. It was shocking. And I didn't know what to do. I just hurried up, grabbed the little drugs. I left out of my back door. And outside my back door is a storage unit. And there's a lock on it, but I can still open it wide enough to where I can put something out there without actually having to unlock the lock. So that's just what I did. I cracked it open, hurried up and threw the package in there, and then I went back into my living room. And All of the police are rushing in. It's like 20 officers. They coming in, got their guns pointed at me. They're like, put your hands up, put your hands up. So I put my hands up. I'm always naked. And I had this robe on with like nothing underneath it. So when I put my hands up, the robe has opened up and I'm like completely exposed. My reaction when I realized I was naked, I hurried up and closed, and they was like, put your hands up, like they was gonna shoot me. So I put my hands up, I'm like, fuck, like, okay. So they rushing in, they get the raiding, going crazy, tearing my house up. And then these two female officers, they walk over to me, pat me down, and so they handcuff me, and they're looking through all of my clothes trying to find me something to put on because I'm naked. And one of the officers walk over with a camera and take a picture of my hands that's handcuffed behind my back. So he takes a picture of my hand. On that picture, you can see like purple dye on my fingers. So there was some type of dye that's not visible at first that was on that package, but over time it starts to become visible and you can see it. So it was purple dye, which is how they found the package where I tried to hide it in my extra closet, because the purple dye fingerprints was on the closet.
Well, damn. I didn't even know they were able to do that.
Lord. So there's a male officer talking to me. He like, we don't like to do this. We don't like arresting people. We just have to do our job. And there's pictures on my wall of me and DJ, and they like, you got a son. We don't want to take you away from your son. The women are making me take all my piercings out of my face while they're raiding my apartment, going crazy. They ended up transporting me to the local police station. So they take me into the police station, and it's two prosecutors in front of me. I believe they were prosecutors, and they immediately like started questioning me at this table. I answered a few of their questions. They was asking like, what's your name, basic stuff. But then they started asking questions about the package and the drugs and stuff. And so immediately I was like, I want a lawyer. As soon as I said that, they pushed back, folded up all of their envelopes. They took me to a cell and they left me in that cell. This is where I feel like they was trying to like intimidate me, because they left me in that cell for like 7 hours. 7 hours. They didn't feed me or anything. They wasn't coming to check on me or anything. Eventually they came and they let me use the bathroom, so I went to use the bathroom. And then they transported me downtown Chicago to MCC, Metropolitan Correctional Center. So that's where they hold the federal cases. My case had went federal because of the USPS, because I was sending it through the mail. So it made it a federal case as opposed to a state case. I didn't get there until like 12:40 in the morning. And I didn't like get checked in and everything until about 1 in the morning. The officers who was transporting me, they did stop and give me something to eat though. We had went and got some Subway. They take me in, it's late at night. This happened December 16, 2020. This was when COVID was happening. So you couldn't have a cellie. Everybody had their own cell. So when I got there, they put me in my cell by myself. It was freezing cold. I just remember being freezing cold, and they gave me extra blankets. I had 2 pair of socks on, but I just remember my feet just freezing cold the whole night. I just could not really sleep throughout the night. On top of this being on my mind, there's no way I could really sleep. I just got fucking arrested. I'm in jail. It was not nothing that I could really try to sleep anyways, but I dozed off. But like I said, it was so cold. It was a time. It was a time. The next morning, like 5, 6 in the morning, they come telling me that I have to go to court. And so they said I had a lawyer. So the person whose package it was had got me a lawyer. I'm sitting in court with this lawyer. The prosecutors say that they don't want me to have a bond. They didn't want to let me out. And the judge agrees. No, she gets no bond. I'm like, fuck, I've never been in trouble ever in my life. I've never been arrested or anything. Y'all not even trying to give me a bond? Like, okay. So they didn't give me no bond. So now I'm being transported from Chicago to Rockford, Illinois. And they were taking me to Winnebago County. So I'm in this van, and I'm in this van with these two guys, and the man who was driving, the police officer, he was pretty cool. He wasn't tripping. The guys were like sitting directly behind me, and the two guys was just making me laugh the whole hour and something drive. They just were cracking all of these jokes, and I'm about to go to jail, but they had my spirits up. It don't take much for my spirits to be up, but they had me laughing. This was new to me, but they were trying to make me feel comfortable, like, it's not all that bad. They were telling me stuff like, you might get this, you might get that, trying to make me feel better about the situation. So we get to the Winnebago County, and they check us in, and when they checked us in, they told us that we could go ahead and use the phones as much as we wanted to until it was time for us to go upstairs to ourselves. This was the first time I got to call anybody in like 2 days. I'm able to use the phones, and the only number that I know by heart is my granny number, because she has had the same phone number all our lives. So I called my granny, and then I was able to speak with everybody else. I was able to talk to my son and make sure my son was okay. And after that, it was like a heavy weight lifted off of my shoulders. I felt so much better. Then two female staff came to me, and they were telling me that I had to take my weave out of my head. Whit had just did my faux locks like a day or two before this happened. So taking them down was so irritating to me, but the girls took it down for me. Now, whoever remembers, back in 2020, May of 2020, that's when I cut all my hair off and I had that fade. So by now December, I had like this much hair. Like, it was enough to grip to put the faux locks on. So when they took my hair down, it's nothing but a freaking little afro just sitting on top of my head. So yeah, they sent me up to my cell like that. This little ugly afro. They take me up to my cell, and it was cold in there too. But it's the winter time, so it's to be expected. In my cell, I got there late again, so I still didn't get to see any of the other girls. I just went right to my cell and just went right to sleep. Now I was able to finally get some sleep. So the next morning I get up, I come out, it's other girls out, and it was so cold. I come out with my blanket on, and I remember one of the girls telling me like, you can't have your blanket out here. And I was just like, okay. One of the black girls, but I put the blanket back. I came out, I was asking one of the staff members about being able to use the phone, but when you just get to a prison, expect not to use the phone for like a day. Especially if you come on the weekend. If you come Friday, you probably won't be able to use the phone till Monday. I wasn't able to use the phone. But it was fine, because like a few hours later, they ended up telling me that I had to go back to court again. And when I went to court, this time they gave me a bond. They were releasing me. I ended up finding out that my granny put her house up in order for me to get out. So like, if I was to mess up, she would lose her house. They sending me home on pre-trial. So if I was to do anything wrong on pre-trial, like catch another case, go back to jail or anything like that, it was her house that was at stake. So they let me out. I don't have a phone. I don't have anything. So I'm asking the police station, can I use their phone? They let me use the phone, and I called my boyfriend. And when I called him, I'm like, yeah, they just let me out. I need you to come pick me up. Mind y'all, this is like an hour drive from where I stay. And so I'm like, I need you to come pick me up. And I'm already expecting to just be waiting like an hour. He was like, I'm already outside. And I was like, stop lying. He was like, I'm outside. I'm like, okay. So I go outside, my boyfriend's outside, I got this afro, I got on these big orange clothes, this jumpsuit, they're orange shoes, and he like, man, take that shit off. He got my clothes. I'm throwing this shit out the window. I'm like, how the hell are you here? Like, how did you know I was finna get out? And so the lawyer had been communicating, letting them know they were finna let me out. So he had already made his way, shout out to him, to come pick me up. So we go back to my house, my apartment, and it was trashed. Like, it was trashed. It was like a tornado had ramshacked and went through. It was terrible. I could not stay there. I'm like, I can't stay here. It was like too much for me. I'm like, I just grabbed a few things and we left, and we went and stayed at a hotel for a few days. So here I am on pre-trial. And let me just say, pre-trial is the worst shit ever. It's the worst shit ever. Like, it's constantly in the back of your mind that you may go to prison. And it's just like, you could be having the time of your life, but then it'll come in your mind and then your whole mood just changed. Like, I'm really finna go to prison. Like, it was just terrible. The unknown is terrible when you just don't know what's going to happen, what the outcome is going to be, but you still have to live life. My son doesn't know what's going on. The people around me, everybody doesn't know what's going on. So I can't be around here moping and crying in my room or trying to kill myself. I just have to go through emotions. But it's definitely hard being on pretrial. Pre-trial is a lot like your probation period, kind of like there's things that you just can't do. You can't be drinking, you can't be smoking. They drop you, they do random pop-up. You can't leave the country. They took my passport, they took my gun, they took my conceal and carry and my FOIA card. You have a pretrial officer that you have to report to. And every time I'm driving, if a police officer just randomly wants to check my license plate, it bings to my pretrial officer. My pretrial officer is calling me like, why did they run your plate? Any type of police encounters, you're supposed to report it to your pretrial officer. Every month I had to log on to this website and say nothing's changed, like my address hasn't changed, my phone number hasn't changed. Okay, submit that. It was just like I went from a normal person living my normal life to government's property. Now I have to report to these fucking people. Ugh. So the person that I was doing this stuff for was given $100,000 for me, and the first lawyer that I had, we ended up paying him $24,000. That first lawyer was a white man. He was extremely straightforward. He was honest. I feel like he was too hard for me at the time. Like, I'm a person that likes to manifest things. Like, I speak positivity. I don't want to think that you're going to prison. With him, that's exactly what he was telling me. He was telling me like, look, ma'am, the evidence is here. You're going to do some jail time. What he wanted to do was try to get me as least amount of time as possible. And if that be probation, that's probation. But he's like, you're still going to have to do some type of time. You're not finna get away scot-free. Realistically, that was what he was telling me. He was keeping it real with me. I was not trying to hear that.
Now, I also believe in manifestation, but we gotta be realistic. How do you guys feel about that?
When I was going to the meetings to meet with this lawyer, he was telling me that I should participate with the police, work with the police, give them the information that they're asking so that I can get probation. I was not trying to do that. And he's up front just telling me like, if these people really loved you, if they cared for you, they would have never put you in this situation. He's like, I'll give you some time to think about it. This is a life decision. You need to think about your son. Who's gonna take care of him? Who's gonna protect him and love him while you're gone in prison? So I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. At first, when the prosecutors were coming at me, they were charging me with the intent to distribute a substance. The substance was fentanyl. That's what the drug was. They were saying basically that I was selling the drugs, that I was like this queen pin, that I was calling all these shots and making people do this and do that. That held a 10-year to life sentence if found guilty. And I never even knew what fentanyl was until I caught this case, until I was being charged with it. That's when I started doing all my research on it. And my lawyer was saying like, that's the #1 drug that's killing all of these people right now. That's why the time is so heavy. They're not going to play with you with that drug. And I'm just like, what? What the fuck is fentanyl? Like, I never been a person to indulge in intoxication behavior, like any type of drugs, weed smoke, pill popping, alcohol, anything that alters a person's normal state. I don't care for. I don't even want to be around those type of people. I never really paid too much attention. I knew the shit that was being sent to my house was drugs. I knew that. I knew the shit was illegal, but I didn't know exactly what the drug was. I was going to take that to trial. I'm like, I am not pleading guilty, and these motherfuckers is not giving me 10 years to life. At this time, my baby was like 4 or 5 years old. I'm thinking like, by the time I come back, DJ is going to be a teenager. Like, no, I'm not going down without a fight. So I was telling my lawyer, like, I want to take this to trial. I'm not just gonna plead guilty. For him to go to trial, he wanted 60,000. But like I said, his energy, I just wasn't feeling his energy. So I ended up firing him and I looked for another lawyer. And this time it was a black man. And he wanted 20,000 just to take the case, just to start. And so I talked to the person who had the money and I'm like, this lawyer wants $20,000. The person says like, well, see if he'll just take 14,000 and we'll give him the 6,000 later. So I asked my lawyer, he was okay with it, and he was like, okay, he wanted his other 6,000 within the next 2 months. So I'm like, okay. So I give him that 14,000. This lawyer, he was not for snitching. He did not want me to tell anything. He was saying, I will fight. We'll take it to trial if need be, but I'm not doing the snitching thing. And so that's what I wanted to hear. Like, I don't want to snitch on nobody. If I'm going to pay you, I want you to fight for me. So that's the type of time he was on. I'm out on pre-trial and I'm going to live my best life. If I know that I'm about to go to prison, I'm going to live my best life. Like, I was going out of town, going to every party, spending so much time with my son, taking him everywhere. I know that I'm going to go to prison, so why not live my life? And that's exactly what I did. I was having so much fun. But then I get a text message from my lawyer and my whole mood will change. Just like that. I get a call from my lawyer and I'm like, fuck, I am about to go to prison. Like, just pre-trial is just crazy. Now that I'm going to take this stuff to trial. This is the goal. We working towards trial. I get another offer from the prosecutors that's saying that, okay, you don't want to tell on nobody. That's fine. How about you tell us everything about the drug exchanges and stuff, but we don't put it on record and you don't have to take the stand or anything like that. It'll just be you giving us information, but nobody will ever know. So it protects you. I didn't want to do that either. I told my lawyer, like, no, I don't want to do that either. So the case is just going and going and going. Because of COVID, it kept being rescheduled. Court dates canceled, pushed it back. I was never going in person. Everything was on Zooms. So I was on pretrial for 3 years. 6-7 months into me hiring this lawyer now, and he's looking for his other $6,000. So I'm telling the person, like, he wants his other $6,000, and the person tells me that they spent it all. They don't have the $6,000. So I'm just like, okay, so you were given $100,000 for me. You gave me $24,000 on the first lawyer, and that leaves you with $76,000, and then we gave this lawyer $14,000, and that leaves us with $62,000. And now I need this other $6,000, and I'm being told that it's gone, that there's no money to pay this lawyer. I'm just like, wow, that money was supposed to be used for my lawyers, just in case I go to prison, to make sure my son is straight. I just felt like motherfuckers was just saying, fuck me. That's how I felt. So now I have to come up with this other $6,000. So yeah, OnlyFans, here I come. So I was doing my OnlyFans really heavy. I was driving Uber. I was doing hair. I mean, yeah, I'm bringing in money, but I still have bills. Still have my rent, my car note, my phone bill, my insurance, all of these bills, and I still have a son that I have to take care of. But I did get some help from some family and friends, and I was able to pay my lawyer the money. So my trial was set for January 2023. Me and my lawyer had been talking, preparing, coming up with all the evidence we need for me to go to trial. And then come like the beginning, it was either December, late December, or beginning of January, my lawyer comes and tells me that the prosecutors they changed the charges. So now they're charging me with conspiracy to distribute as opposed to me actually selling the drugs. Because I feel like during trial, they weren't going to be able to prove that I was selling drugs, because there was absolutely no proof of me selling drugs whatsoever, nor was there proof that I made the purchase to buy this drug. So I feel like that's why they changed the charges. So my charges became basically that I retrieved this package and that I was going to pass it off to somebody else, which is actually what was going to happen. That's what they would have been able to prove in court. And so my lawyer is like, look, we can't fight that. We're going to have to take that. So that change of charge ended up changing the sentence the sentencing guidelines. It went from that 10-year to life to 5 to 10. So, all right, we don't have to take it to trial. The prosecutors also came to me. They were asking me that I want to do a safety valve. Now, with the safety valve, I don't have to tell on anybody. I just have to tell my participation in the transaction, and it could possibly give me probation. So my lawyer felt like, I mean, we should try that. What else do we have to lose? You want to try to get probation? So we went. This was my first time sitting in front of the prosecutors. At first, they were talking to me about normal stuff that I knew they already knew, and I was just answering the questions accordingly. But then they started showing me pictures of other people asking me questions about those people, and I just knew, like, okay, this is going left. This is exactly what I didn't want. So one of the pictures that they showed me was of this officer that I was dating, and they asked, like, who's he? And I said his name. I'm like, officer, and I said his last name. And so my lawyer was like, hold on, wait, stop. No. And he pulled me to the side and he asked me for details regarding the guy. I'm not thinking nothing of it, but he was like not going for it. So we went back into the meeting. He was like, this meeting is over. No, I don't know nothing about this. Y'all didn't tell me about this person. And he just lost it. He like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So needless to say, they did not give me that probation. They did not give me that safety valve. They felt like, okay, we're keeping stuff. We're lying. I go to court. They present their evidence, and my lawyer is presenting his evidence. And I pled guilty. There was a bunch of things that they were, trying to use against me, trying to give me the most time possible. The prosecutors was trying to give me 10 years. And my lawyer, of course, is trying to lean towards the lower side, the 5 years. I'm sitting in court and I'm listening to both sides go back and forth. You can't talk. I can't say anything. But they did allow me to write something to the judge, and I was able to speak to the judge about my character. When you plead guilty and you take ownership of what you did, the judges like that. That's something that reduces your points in their eyes to where they'll give you less time based off of you taking responsibility and saying that, yes, I did do this and it was wrong, realizing that what you did was wrong. So if you're ever fighting a case, make sure that's something that you do. I'm hearing them go back and forth, and a prosecutor's job is to make you look like the worst person on earth. And they did that, baby. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, they used the worst grades that I ever had during college. It was like my freshman year or my sophomore year of college, and I just wasn't giving a fuck, and they used those grades. I'm like, my whole college career, I've always had really good grades, but they found the worst ones, and they used that in court. They were even lying. They were lying. Like, when they raided my house, they planted stuff in certain areas and said, yeah, she put that there. Oh, it was insane, but heads up, they do that. They lie. Didn't matter anyways. I done already pled guilty, but like I said, they were wanting me to get 10 years. So whatever they could do to make this judge look at me in a negative way, that's what they were going to do. I ended up getting sentenced to 66 months. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, how much time is that? And that was 5.5 years. 5.5 years.
Well, I'm glad that she learned from her mistakes, and she's also encouraging others to do better. Don't forget to give me your thoughts down in the comment section.